Why didn't you clean up the kitchen like you said you would?
That is an interesting question. I like that. It indicates to me that you are developing your critical awareness of contemporary social issues.
Yes, I am aware that the kitchen is a mess and I am critical of your failure to clean it up like you said you would.
Why don't we explore this problem further? As you are aware, we use a problem-based approach in this household. The first principle of the problem-based approach is to articulate our prior knowledge in the domain. By doing this, we can identify precisely what we know, what we don't know, what we don't know we know, and most importantly what we don't know we don't know, thus allowing us to develop a comprehensive analytical framework.
I know that you are a lazy bastard.
I am not sure that is a constructive comment. The second principle of problem-based learning is to present your views in a respectful and non-threatening manner. Moreover, your explanation is highly superficial and fails to address the underlying intrinsic and extrinsic factors that may have a bearing on the intermediate and final outcomes. It may be helpful to think about general principles here rather than specific examples. Do you have any theories that may guide us through the complexities of the problem to hand?
I have a theory that you are a lazy bastard.
Oh dear. You have fallen into that old trap of confabulating what is a theory and what is a hypothesis. Let me clarify the distinction. A theory is a coherent group of general propositions used as principles of explanation for a class of phenomena. This should not be confused with a hypothesis, which is a conjecture to guide investigation and which can be tested through empirical research, such as an experiment.
Okay, I hypothesize that you are a lazy bastard and that this is inversely related to the cleanliness of the kitchen.
I can see now that this discussion is heading up an epistemological cul-de-sac, metaphorically speaking, of course. You have mistakenly used a hypothetico-deductive approach which requires a quantitative analysis of multiple observations based on a sample determined by a statistical par calculation, whereas your conclusions are clearly based on a single naturalistic case study utilizing an inductive approach. This constrains your conclusions to the explanatory level rather than the more powerful and generalizable level of predictive models.
I predict that if you don't clean up the kitchen soon, this will lead to an inevitable breakdown in our marital relationship. So what do you think of that?
I am not sure that what I think or what you think is of any relevance. My most recent theorizing has followed the later Wittgenstein, who powerfully argued that the social construction of human experience is situated in everyday discourse, as exemplified in our present conversation. Taken to its logical conclusion, then ontologically speaking, we cannot even be certain that this kitchen even exists independently outside our intentional consciousness of everyday reality, which is in turn predicated by the language game in which we are currently engaged. I would certainly argue that your statements that the kitchen is not clean and that I am a lazy bastard are highly judgmental. Rather than a factual statement, you appearing to be re-engaging in the ongoing power struggle that has been occurring in this kitchen and within society at large, which has seen the feminist critique emerge to challenge the male-dominated status quo.
Yes, I agree with that. You are a lazy male bastard.
Now we are getting somewhere. I highly commend your reflexive analysis. However, I realize that we need to draw this discussion to a conclusion, as I am about to go down the pub with my mates. I suggest if you want to find out more about why the kitchen hasn't been cleaned, then you should read my latest book, Masculinities in the Domestic Sphere. As you know, I received a 5-star international rating in the latest research assessment exercise.
Why don't you just say, men in the kitchen?
We have discussed this frequently before. There can be many masculinities, and using a catch-all category ignores the multidimensional nature of male experience. Moreover, the domestic sphere focuses on the power relationships within the home environment and the evolving nature of gendered roles.
Your role was to clean up the kitchen.
I am afraid that we need to acknowledge that we are not progressing in our discussion, and perhaps we should move on to an alternative topic. Did you know that today I was appointed professor of bovine fecal science?
That's bullshit.